So now that people have finally had a chance to play Angela, one of the main things that I've heard them saying in regards to her is that she's gimmicky. Then you have the other side of people that think she's going to be a great addition to the game. Let's talk about it. YouTube, what's going on, man? It's Father Dark here bright and early on a Wednesday morning. We're about 2 days out from season 4 release, and I think it's the perfect time to have this conversation about Angela. Now, the thing is that, like I said in the intro, I have seen a lot of different people playing Angela. I've had a little bit of time to kind of see how her kit works and start to begin to kind of hear arguments from both sides. Like I said, people that are thinking that she's very just gimmicky. Some people even calling her an industry plant. And then you have other people that think, like I said, that while her skill ceiling may be a bit high and hard to learn and stuff like that in certain regards, that she's still going to be a great addition to the team. Now, let's talk about the first thing with the tank identity issue, right? We have to think about, like, what is a tank and what purpose does a tank serve? Usually the tank is right there on the front line. Now, before I get into that, I want to say, a couple weeks back, maybe it was last week, I can't remember, I made a video and I was just kind of saying, like, what is the hardest role? Like, what do you all think the hardest role is? Now, I said support, being a flex player, but most of you, like, I'd say probably about 85, maybe 90% of you all said tank was the hardest role. There was a few people in there that, they're fighting for the DPS and stuff, but for the most part, it was most people said that with them playing all the roles, that being a tank player was the hardest. Now, I will have to say that I do think that it depends on what your definition of the hardest is. I think more people probably took what I said as, or misinterpreted it as, what's the most important role, not necessarily the hardest. And something that I've noticed, because over the last week or so, I started, my DPS villain arc. And no matter what I do in certain games, no matter how well I perform, there was a game the other day where I had 50 something eliminations as Iron Man, died twice, and we still couldn't win. And when I went back over and looked at it, the tanks were just not tanking on my team, and it really made me start to kind of think, is that really the most important role at the end of the day? And I noticed that when I play tank and, I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to as tank, things just go a lot easier and a lot smoother in matches. But when I have, horrendous tanks on my team, no disrespect to anybody, but just calling it like it is, things just don't seem to work the way that they should. And when you think about a tank, the whole point of a tank is to create space. A lot of people will just kind of pick a tank and they'll just kind of run into the enemy team and just kind of use themselves as like a big old wall, to just soak up damage and just hope that people are just going to infinitely heal them, right? And that's not how you tank. But the thing is, though, is that the tank is on the front line. The tank is the person that is supposed to invade your personal space and make you so uncomfortable that you have no choice but to back up. Really, let's take when you're pushing a cart or something like that. You don't actually have to get any eliminations. There's times, you ever had a game where you had double-digit eliminations? I'm talking about 30, 40 eliminations. Even the supports on your team went crazy, and the enemy team had single-digit eliminations, and they still somehow won. And you're sitting there just looking at the scoreboard after the match going, how do these people win if we have 4 times the amount of eliminations as them? It's because they played the objective. They did what they were supposed to do. This isn't Call of Duty. This ain't team deathmatch. It doesn't matter how many eliminations you get. That's not going to get you anywhere. And, I'm saying all that to say that with Angela, her whole thing is that, and it's not her whole thing, but a big part of her kit is her flying around. And she kind of has this thing where, what it reminds me of is Wolverine, where you kind of have to be smart and you have to kind of wait around corners and stuff, or fly around and scope out the battlefield. And then you try to wait for the perfect moment, and you pick somebody up and you grab them and throw them off of a cliff or whatever, or you displace somebody. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are going to be trying to do with her, because it is one of her things that's kind of like a gimmick, where it's oh man, this is the first tank that we got where you can just straight up fly around. Now it's different. I mean, people brought this up before when I said she was gonna be the first flying tank. They brought up Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange's flight is very limited and it's very slow in comparison, and it's just completely different. That's more to me, controlled levitation, right? It's not the same as how Angela is legit just flying around the map like Iron Man, I feel like they're two completely different things. I mean, I guess technically that is flying. If I saw someone doing that, I'd say that's flying, but it's also kind of more controlled floating, I guess. So that's something different, a whole different debate there. But like I said, with a tank, what we expect a tank to do and how we expect them to play is going to be completely different. And like I said, too, it's kind of like something, too, that I've been thinking a lot about in regards to certain characters that they come out. And at first, the way that we use them first is like incorrectly. And a lot of times people just don't understand how they should be being used. And I feel like another good example, once again, going back to like Wolverine. When the game first came out, a lot of people sat back and they were like, Wolverine is the worst. I literally remember people making videos saying Wolverine is like the worst character in the game. He's so pointless. We don't understand why he's there. He's Wolverine. How could they do my boy like this? Et cetera, right? And then somebody, I don't know who it was, but someone figured out like, wait a second, this guy does more damage depending upon how much health you have. And they started kidnapping tanks, bringing them into the enemy team, which would be their team, and just absolutely deleting them. And it got to the point where Wolverine, like overnight, went from being looked at as one of the worst characters in the game to being literally permabanned for like all of, what was it, season 1 or season 2? I can't remember, but he was permabanned for a long time. It was just one of those things. The way that pretty much every match I load into now, people instantly ban Black Panther and they don't even think about it. And people are still banning Wolverine because even though he's not as broken as I feel like he was initially, because he's been nerfed a few times, he still is just irritating to deal with as a tank player. There's just not much that you can really do unless you're like Magneto and you bubble yourself at the perfect time or something like that. But for the most part, though, if you have a good Wolverine on the enemy team, he is going to make your life a living hell as a tank. And that's the thing, is like you need counters to stuff, but at the same time, he's a little bit too much of a counter. And I think that kind of happens with a lot of different characters. Same thing with Ultron. I have been on the Ultron hate train for a while, and it's not because I necessarily despise Ultron himself. It's more because people will try to pick him in a 2-healer comp. They'll see that you got a Luna Snow or something, and they go, well, I guess I'm going to go Ultron. And it's like, brother, the enemy team is probably going to have a Luna and like a Cloak and Dagger, or a Luna and a Loki, or Luna and Rocket, just someone else that is more like sustained healing, whereas you're just probably going to throw the drone on a tank and then just go to DPSing, right? But the thing is, though, is that I've had numerous games where I had a really good Ultron, and they damn near carried the match. There was one game last week, I think I had it in a video, where at the very end of the match, I swapped over to Ultron because we had an Iron Man, and being able to give who needed the drone at the time and me playing him correctly, how fast he gets his ult and stuff like that, we were actually able to push over the finish line and win, right? But that not every match is going to require that. And the thing is that whenever a new character comes out, we already know what time it is. In solo queue, people are going to want to play the new character. And when you have other teams that are not going to care about that, they're just going to care about winning, and they pick the comp that they actually should have, then it's just going to go to shit, honestly, at that point in time. And like I said too, Angela seems to have a really high learning curve, She's not just a straightforward kind of tank. So it's going to take people a while. Like the average player, it's going to take them a while to really get to a point to where they really fully understand how to utilize her whole entire kit. Whereas like really good players, they'll pick it up, pretty quickly. People, other content creators and stuff that have already had access to her, they already kind of have an idea. They've already, been able to test her out and stuff like that. So they're not going to be going in as fresh as the rest of us. But for the most part, you're going to be getting a lot of people that are going to be trying to jump into ranked on day one, picking Angela, having no idea what they're doing, and your team is just going to be left with one tank while your Angela's like flying around trying to get clips that nobody's going to watch, just being honest with you, right? Like that's just what happens a lot of times in these matches, and it makes solo queue is already hell, like actual hell, but that just makes it 10 times worse when you have people that are doing what they should be doing in quick play, but they're like, I don't play quick play, I'm too cool for quick play. And they just go in and just sell your rank matches for free, right? Free 99. And that's irritating, very irritating. So, the thing is that I don't feel like Angela is necessarily like this overhyped thing. I think it's natural in this game because of the way that it works. When new stuff comes out, which we're only getting one new character whenever there's an update. Now, granted, they have brought the time for updates down to where we're getting a new character every month. But even still, that's the only thing that we're really getting that's new outside of like the battle pass or skins or whatever. Even then, we only get one map. And I heard somebody say, and you guys can let me know in the comments, but somebody said on Twitter the other day that we're actually not getting the new map until the mid-season update. So I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if they're like behind on schedule or if it's just a lot going on behind the scenes or whatever the case is. And I could be wrong about that. But like I said, I definitely saw someone who said that, but I haven't been able to confirm it anywhere though. Nonetheless, though, like I said, she with her having a high skill ceiling, there's going to be an adjustment period, just like there has been with any other characters that haven't been very straightforward. Kind of like I said with an Ultron character, he came out. A lot of people didn't realize like, oh, I have to actually hit my shots. I have to be able to really stay near my team to be able to get my own self healing. Like even with myself, I didn't know that Ultron could heal himself if he was within range of his drone. Just so many different things that people don't understand, and then on top of that, people not understanding how composition works in teams and stuff like that, and not understanding that certain characters only work in certain situations. Not everything is like a everything kind of situation. And if you don't understand that and you're just trying to force something to work because it's new, you're just going to be selling for your team and for yourself, and there's a lot of people that just don't care about that. It's very infuriating when you're playing a team-based game unless you are somebody who wants to stack with other people. And if you have people you stack with, that's fine. And a lot of people will say, well, that's how the game is supposed to be played. Some of us want to go out here and earn our ranks on our own, not putting anybody else down that likes to play with other people. I know a lot of people say, well, it's a team-based game, but there's a reason why they've limited stacking and stuff like that to a certain amount per, whatever, the respective rank is or whatever the case is. So like I said, I do think Angela will be really fun, just because there are a lot of situations where, for example, when you're going up against flyers and you're playing as a tank, I know as someone who's been playing Iron Man for the last week straight, pretty much. I've really been enjoying Iron Man. You either get two types of people: the team where the whole entire team focuses on you, but still somehow can't delete you somehow. Like they'll pick literally every single one of your account. I've had games where people pick Punisher, Namor, Star-Lord, Hela, Wanda, literally anything that's supposed to counter a flyer, and the whole team will be stacked up with that. The whole team is looking up at me, and I'm just peeking around a corner, flying down and getting a health pack, because even my own support players not looking up at stuff. Like I said, you either get that or you get teams of people that just do not look up and stuff. And that's another thing that I think will be interesting too with Angela. One thing I noticed from playing Iron Man, a lot of support struggle looking up. The same way that you people like to play flyers because the enemy team struggle to look up or hit their shots. A lot of people that play support do not like healing flyers. That is like the weirdest thing. I've had times where I even flew down to my teammates, flew right in front of them, and just was like, you know what, I'm just going to stand in front of them while they're healing, and I'll just steal some heals real quick and then go back up. I've had them stop healing, like, why is this Iron Man standing in front of me with 0 health, and then step around me to go back to healing a fully healed tank. Like, there's some bad support players out here, and I can say that as somebody who plays support. It's okay as a support player to just back up a little bit. If you know you have flyers on your team, why would you not want to see where that flyer is? He's more than likely got the whole enemy team distracted and just eating up there. So why would you not just back up a little bit so you can see him and just heal him? You don't have to just stand right behind your tank and just do nothing but heal the tank all day long. And then it's very deceiving because they really have to like make it to where people can see individual numbers. Because guys, I promise you can go back and look at gameplay of mine for like the last couple of videos of mine. You'll see me playing Iron Man. I rely on health packs. Now, as Spider-Man, I understand that. As Spider-Man, I don't expect you to be healing me, right? That save your heals for someone else. I can immediately just get to a health pack by the time that I need it. I know where all of them are. It's no issue. But as Iron Man, even with the ability to be able to fly, it's still not as quick as like if you're a Spider-Man, how you can just, shoot a web toward the ground, uppercut, and you're right there, the health pack, and then you're right back in the fight 2 seconds later. And, like I said, it's just like, why would you not just back up a little bit? I've been seeing this so much. I don't know if it's because now that I'm playing DPS, a lot of the people that are having to heal are people that aren't usually healers, or if these healers are just really bad and they just don't understand how to look up. Like I said, there needs to be a way for us to be able to see individual healing based on like how much you receive, because there's been games it's a lot of games, a whole lot more than not, where the whole entire game I might have gotten healed twice. And even when they'll heal me, they never want to heal me all the way. Even if I'm just, I could see if I was like zooming around the map, constantly flying and all this stuff. Like they'll give me 2 little shots from like Cloak and Dagger to give me like 50 or 60 healing, and then go right back to healing a tank that's fully healed. It's really insane. Like I could, there's so many times where I was like, why are you not healing me? If I ping that I need healing, if I fly directly in front of them, whatever the case is, I even got to a point where I was like, well, I won't stay up in the air anymore. I'll purposely stay down on the ground with my teammates. They would still always walk in front of me and try to just heal the tank. Even when the tanks don't need the healing, they're already healed up. If your tank is fully healed, why are you still healing them? What are you doing? You get Lunas and Ultrons that won't give you the drone and won't put the snowflake on you, knowing that they don't want to heal you. And it's crazy because even without not being healed by them, my KD must be crazy on Iron Man because I seldom ever die unless I'm just being greedy and just really pushing up, or maybe I get surprised and I go in I go to fly through a corner or a hallway or something like that, and the team is coming up or something. It's too late for me to turn around. But for the most part, though, usually once I start taking damage, I immediately fly to a health pack and then come back or whatever. It has been so rare that anybody has actually healed me, no matter where my positioning is, if I'm pinging for it, whatever the case is, it is extremely rare. So the reason why I was saying that was because with having Angela, it's one thing, because like I said, as a DPS, you can just go and get a health pack, right? And you're fully healed again. So I've tried to keep my positioning to where I could just fly to a health pack really fast and then come back if I need to, right? But with a tank, though, that's not going to work. You'd have to get 3 or 4 health packs before you're going to be fully healed as a tank. That's going to be one of those things that I think a lot of people are going to start to see immediately, that supports really tend to struggle in the healing department when it comes to anything that's not a giant tank that's standing directly in front of them. So I just had to call that out because that has been actually driving me crazy. And if you say anything to the supports, they're like, I have 16K healing. It's like that you put into the thing, bro. That's it. You didn't heal anyone else. You're standing right behind the tank. What kind of positioning is that? Back up. That's like drawing a picture and you're putting your face an inch away from the picture. It's really hard to tell if you've made any mistakes or errors if your face is that close to it. Just back up a little bit so you can see the full thing. That's one of the things about being a support, is you have to be able to see the whole entire picture. But I could make a whole separate video about, since I've stopped playing support and only been playing, DPS pretty much this last week. I've only, done it meaning I've only played, support or tank a handful of times out of all the matches that I played over the last week, just because there were times where people were like, look, I'm not going to solo heal. I'm not going to solo tank. I will swap off and throw this match if somebody doesn't help me out, and I'd wait a few minutes. Nobody would do it. So I was like, screw it. Somebody's got to do it. Right. But for the most part, though, no, I've been being super petty because since this game has came out, I've had to flex. And as we all know, there is no such thing as someone who has to flex to DPS. That seldom ever happens. 99.9% of the time when you are flexing, you are only playing tank or support, right? And lately it's been more people not wanting to play tank than anything. But I guarantee you now that Angela's out, there's going to be so many people that want to play tank. But the problem with that is that Angela is not a conventional tank. It's not going to be what people are going to be expecting. The only thing that you can hope for, I feel like, in this regard, is that the enemy team is doing the same exact thing. But we know how that seems to work. You never seem to get paired up against enemy teams where they just don't seem to have it figured out. They always have supports that understand positioning, that will heal each other if you start doing anything to them. They have DPS that will peel and help out and stuff like that. And the tanks always know how to pick the exact team comp that they need. They ult at the right time. And then you get tanks that are just like, well, I guess maybe I should just run completely into the enemy team out of the line of sight of anyone else, die, and then ping for heals after I'm already dead. Or you get supports that they have no idea what to do, and they just keep backing up further and further and further away from you whenever they seek any type of adversity whatsoever. And DPS that couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So, there's that. But that's my little rant in regards to Angela. I am curious to know, though, what you all think about Angela, what your thoughts are. And, quick reminder, too, for the people that have made it to the end of the video. I just have to preface and say that my giveaways have nothing to do with YouTube. They are not affiliated. This is strictly for the people that are in my Discord that join. I will be ending the giveaway Thursday evening, sometimes probably 9 or something like that. Maybe 8, I'll announce who the winner is. But all you have to do is pick a number from 1 to 5,000. Whoever gets the number, and the way that I do it is that I just type it into ChatGPT, and let them pick a number for me, screenshot it, put it in the chat so you all can see it, so you know that there's no favoritism or anything. But yeah, I do that at the beginning of every season, and I do it in the mid-season as well. And I also tend to do it whenever we reach like a milestone as far as people in the server. I think right now we have 1,200. So like usually every like 1,000 people that join, or like 500, I think is a good number. I'll usually do a giveaway. And the way that I do giveaways is I just gift you whatever skin it is that you want in the game. You just DM me, tell me what skin that you want, and I just get it for you. And I've done that about 3 or 4 times now in regards to the Discord server. But like I said, that is not affiliated with YouTube. That has nothing to do with them. And to be able to be eligible for that, you just have to join the Discord. The link for the Discord is in my main, it's like on my main channel page. If you look next to my logo at the very top, you'll see where it says more info in my bio. You click the more info part, and then you'll see the link to the Discord. You just click that. You're already in there. Accept the rules. You're good to go. And obviously, it would be in the giveaway section. So you just post that number there, and you're good to go. But like I said, I just wanted to throw that out there for people who make it to the end of the video. I really do appreciate the people that watch these all the way through and don't just watch for 5 minutes and then type a comment about something that I had already covered in the video. That means a lot to me. But I do appreciate everyone that watches these and listens, because what good is a video if nobody watches it, right? So like I said, that's all I want to do. I just want to wrap it up, but I am curious to know what you all think about Angela. Do you think it's a gimmick? Do you think that she's interesting? Was there something that I left out that you think is a good point? Like I said, I only know the things that I know. I can only think about the things that I could think about. There's a lot more intelligent, far better players than myself out there. And I always love to hear what you all think. So like I said, drop it in the comments, let me know. But that's all I got for this video. I do appreciate you all for watching. I'm Father Dark, and I'll catch you on the next one.